Welcome to The Author Next Door,
where we talk writing, publishing, and the business behind the books.
This podcast is for writers who are a few steps ahead into the journey. Maybe you've published, maybe you're planning what's next, and you realize the questions aren't getting easier. They're just getting more interesting.
Sometimes it's just our fabulous selves. Sometimes we bring friends to the table, but it's always lived experience and information you can use.
So pull up a chair. The conversation starts now.
Welcome to episode 81. I'm Angela Haas, and I'm here with my co-host, Cassie Newell. And this month, we're just doing what we're calling quick bites. This month can be busy for some of us, and for many people, as summer winds down, activities ramp up a little bit. So we just want to dive into some craft issues author phase, but we're going to explore these in like 20 minutes or less just to get you some quick tips. Today, I actually want to discuss ways to write female characters, but as it relates to the Amazon Prime show Ride or Die, because there are some phenomenal examples of strong, compelling female characters in that show. But pausing, viewers and listeners, if you have not seen the entire series starring Hannah Waddingham and Octavia Spencer, please turn back now and come back when you have. Okay, but from watching the show, we can take away how to write female characters, female friendships, and amazing female villains. So to start, let me just talk to you for a second, Cassie. We're going to be really quick with this, but what did you love about the show? And actually, what about the trailer and the little snippets you saw made you immediately, hooked you, made you want to tune in? What was it that made you want to watch it?
Yeah, because I didn't know much about it, to be quite honest, until, we just said, hey, let's watch it. Me and my husband, bored, wanted a little adventure. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be like a Thelma and Louise kind of thing. And then I was like, oh, no, it's not. She's a spy. This is going to be fun. I just loved that she was a kick-ass person. The other thing to it is Hannah Waddingham plays Rebecca on Ted Lasso, which is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. So I was like, of course I'm going to watch it. So honestly, it was kind of who was in it, the actresses that were in it, that I was like, oh, automatic buy, kind of like certain authors, or whatever, just automatic. Let's just check out episode 1, which ended up binging it in like 2 days. And then I was calling you going, you have to watch this. It's so amazing. So yeah, that was like my first impression. Like, oh, this is going to be just a fun female dynamic kick butt adventure. And my husband kind of always loves those kind of spy type things. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what sold it. You? Outside of me screaming in your ear?
I love action adventure anyway, and we're always looking for something fun. And it seemed lighter than other shows that I've loved, like The Night Agent or Reacher. It seemed like there was some zaniness, which I was like, let's just escape. I think I'm always looking for escape things and just fun. So that's what inspired me. I think Hannah for me also I think she's a goddess. I think Octavia Spencer, I have followed her career as well, and I love her personally also. So I think the two together, they are must watches for me, but I really was curious about their chemistry together and how they were going to play that out. But the first real tip I want to get into I think we learn a lot about how to write character from what we're reading, but you can learn a lot about character from what you're watching. And for me, Judith, Hannah's character in this show is that's it. I was watching her and I was saying, this is it. This is how you write a strong female character. And for me, what I learned from it, what I felt validated from, was that she wasn't impervious. She was really strong, and they show that in the opening scenes, that she doesn't follow the rules. She makes good judgments. She's just sort of like, I do what I want. But it never transitioned into, I hate men. I don't need anyone. I'm perfect and I'm a badass and no one knows why. I don't like those kinds of strong female characters where we just don't see them having moments of vulnerability at all. And
Hmm.
Judith has it all. She is scared sometimes. You can
Hmm.
see that when she's faced with something where she's
Yeah.
outnumbered, she's a little nervous, but she's working it out how to get out of the situation. She sometimes has a moment where she cries, where she's stressed, where she doesn't know what to do, balanced with moments where she's absolutely kicking butt and taking names. And I think that balance resonates so much more with me because I think as women, I don't want to feel like I have to be impervious to be seen as strong. I don't want to feel like I have to make all the decisions because I don't need anyone. That's not true. Sometimes I want
Right.
someone else to decide for once.
Hmm.
And I relate, not that I'm an assassin, but I, I'm more inspired by seeing a strong female not be a total flaming bitch,
Right.
not saying I'm strong because I don't need anyone. I'm strong because I've overcome something. And I think that's what makes her such a compelling character. What do you think about Judith?
Oh, I
What can
loved her
people take
all
away
for
from
this.
Judith?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved her for all the same reasons. But I think for me, I think her ultimate way of moving through the world was really independent for herself, but when you threw in her friend, which was her heart, then
Hmm.
it changed. And I loved that. Like
Hmm.
the stakes
Yeah.
were higher. They're more important to her when her friend fights back, when they fight, it stabbed her heart,
Hmm.
versus somebody else arguing with her. She could give a flying flip, and
Hmm.
you could see how they came together throughout the series and what that meant to her. Did she always make the best decisions? No, she did not.
Right.
Did she always? I mean, and I think that's part of that piece where it's like people are fallible. Right. We want
Hmm.
to see that. We want to experience. We may not be like, well, that was a shit decision. Why would you do that? But because we're fallible, and
Right.
we can be selfish and all the things. But I think what I loved about Judith and Debbie's relationship, just to pivot for a second, was they would fight, they would resolve, and they still respected and loved each other.
Mhm.
It was repairable. And it's interesting because true female friendships are so different than male friendships. And I love that representation. And why I
Mhm.
say they're so different is men will either fight it out, address it either physically or verbally, and move on without consequence.
Mm.
Females aren't like that. And
Right.
if there's no consequence to the men, usually the friendship's broken. They're not talking to each other. It's very black and white. Females, on the other hand, in my experience, are raising females, being around females, is when we argue or disagree, there's tension, there's emotion
Mhm.
behind it. It's not always resolved quickly. There
Right.
and in those cases we may still respect each other, but the thing is that, and I thought what was represented so well is that there's still heart behind all the decisions and fights we make and have. And there's always a connective tissue, either that's super irreparable or
Mhm.
repairable, and you understand why. And you respect it and love it because of the history you have or the investment you have within that person and all the things. And I just thought it was so beautifully done. And I think that's why I love Judith so much, because what you would see on the outside, very 007, as you know, in the show. And again, preview of, if you haven't seen this, you may not want to hear this, but the fact that Debbie goes into her actual living space and it's a very clean, very abrupt, very un-Judith like the person Debbie knows. But then she finds the hidden room where like the apothecary antique is there. her pictures from her kids when they were little were there for Aunt Judith, and like all the things. And you're just like, you thought their friendship was irreparable, but then Debbie sees that and she's like, no, she is the person I know, not this
Right.
cold
Yes.
person. She's living a double life,
Right.
and Debbie gets to understand that a little bit better when everything's revealed. And I just love that. They're both
Yeah.
not perfect, but they're
No, they're
both
not.
great together. And I just, yeah, I'm smitten
Right.
by their friendship, because I think I was like, I want to write this kind of friendship.
Oh, absolutely. And
It's
Debbie
perfect.
was the perfect complement because she was so used to managing her husband's career that you can see her being calm under pressure and
Hmm.
using her strategy to solve problems.
Hmm.
Where Judith solves problems sometimes with like guns and fists and
Yeah.
shooting her way out of something. What I loved about Debbie's character and the way Octavia Spencer played her was that cool, calm, collected. Not that she wasn't
Yeah.
rattled, obviously, when they're being chased by other assassins. And
Hmm.
you still see Debbie feeling like how we would all feel if the world just suddenly it blew up. The world that we know is not what's reality. You see her having that fear. I almost lost at that moment where Judith is getting the motorcycle and Debbie's like, where do I go? What do I do? And then Judith is like, I got you. And they hug. And I was like, please, this
Hmm.
is,
I
you
know.
know,
Yeah.
but we still see how they complement each other in that problem solving way. So that's the takeaway here. Writing female characters doesn't mean that they're bitchy or they don't need people or they're infallible, perfect, or
Or they're jealous of each other.
jealous of each other
Yeah.
or just so strong and we just don't know why. They're just strong
Hmm.
and that's all you need to know. They can have that secret room inside. They can still be a badass female assassin and still love
Hmm.
flowers. Like, we have to sort of rewrite this idea of what it means to be a strong female. But that's why I loved this show. So, but let's talk about the villain. I had
Ah.
some problems with the villain. I loved, there's things I loved about her and I loved that the villain was also female
Mhm.
because it showed sort of the decay of the female friendship. What did you think about that villain?
Yeah, I actually liked her, as a villain. I didn't like her as a person because, well, down with the
Right.
badness, I wanted Judith to
Right.
be successful, and you knew only one of them was gonna be successful in this, right? And that's
Mhm.
but what I love the concept that the villain is the hero of their own story.
Mhm.
And boy, was Anna,
Mhm.
because she thought she had the type of friendship that Judith and Debbie had. It was
Right.
clear to her there was some jealousy there. The fact that Judith basically, you realize, was taking her out as a result of Anna making a comment to get rid of her best friend, right? Like she
Yeah,
had
to
to
get rid
go.
of Debbie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's where the
Yeah.
emotion decision came in. She's like, "You're not touching her, so you've got to go." Like
Right.
that's where Judith's head was. And I thought what made her compelling was that it wasn't completely jealousy. I mean, there's intelligence, she's capable, emotionally layered, all those things, right? It's towards a darker purpose. But she was taking Debbie now and showing her the darkness of Judith. And that was
Yeah.
diabolical to me.
Mhm.
She could have just killed Debbie and made Judith
Yeah.
watch. That's the typical male thing you would do, right?
Right.
Make
Right.
the person suffer when you kill their significant other or whatever relationship that is. No, this was diabolical. This was, let me show you who you think you know. And this is
Mhm.
who I know. And this is who she really is.
Mhm.
And just tear that down. And it worked. She tore Debbie out. She was raw. She was mad. She was upset.
Mhm.
And then let that loose and then let Judith suffer. I just thought, I mean, it wasn't just ruthlessness. There was so much emotional depth. And I think you have to have that with good female villains. Otherwise they fall flat because they're really not representing females at that
Hmm.
point. So to me, I thought it was pretty epic on how the
Yes.
story plot was around that character. Of course, I don't love the villain. She's not a Loki for me. Like, love
Right.
him, but hate him at the same time. But like, it was diabolical. And I just thought you have to have somebody that's going to be that crazy in order to match Judith and Octavia. And I thought she did fabulous. Yeah.
It's an actress I've not heard of.
Yeah, me either. I'm not
Sylvia
that familiar.
Hoeks yeah. But she did really well. So I think she was played brilliantly. The one criticism I have, and I think you can turn this in a tip for your writing when you're writing villains, people, your villain can't win all the time. The villain won way too much and way too long. It was too easy for her to just win, 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 get. I think for her to be more compelling was to also show the vulnerability more. We got the backstory,
Uh-huh.
but I wanted to see you need to have your villain face some losses too. And what I didn't like about Ride or Die was we didn't see the unraveling of like around some of those
Mm,
losses. We didn't see her lose it, when David was rescued by Sam and Queenie, right?
uh-huh.
Yes. We should have seen the villain go back and be like, no,
Yeah.
and then get even more like, okay, that's it, and even more like I'm raising my game. So I think more compelling villains have an arc too. They have wins and they have to have a couple losses where you see them unravel and even like slip more into madness. And
Mhm.
then almost that creates a little more tension like, oh no, she saw that David's gone. She's losing it. What's going to happen now?
Yeah.
Really see that. She just won. And then I feel like her death, because I was hating her so much, I thought it should have been a lot slower.
See, I loved how it went because that was
I
such a
did
call
too,
to
but
Thelma
I
and
was just
Louise.
like,
And
it
I was just
was.
like, oh my God, they can't jump this. What are they doing? And
Oh,
then,
I know. There was
yeah,
that tension there for me. But I feel like I wish I would have seen a little bit more loss for the villain. And I didn't really like that final setup that she had Judith in that chamber that felt a little James Bonding villain to me, but maybe that was their purpose. But it
yeah.
just was,
Well, I think she
I
just
think,
wanted Judith to suffer as much as
right.
possible. And I was like, well, that's one way of doing
Yeah.
it.
That's totally one way of doing it. But like the machines and like to me, sometimes that's like, would that person, I think a female assassin would have like done tiny little cuts on her body and let her bleed out. Now, obviously, for the purpose of storytelling, we can't do that. But the
Well,
way
and
they
have
set her
Judith
up with,
recover.
well, if she did, if she was found in time, she's also kind of poisoned. But I don't know. It just felt a little James Bondy villain to me, where they always hook you
Mm,
up to some machine and leave you alone. Like to me, that.
hmm.
But overall, I really I loved, and this was written by women. A lot of times we have, not that men can't write compelling female characters. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying sometimes I see how females are written, and I think it's a man thinking, well, this is what women think strong women are. And I think some women are guilty of that too. I'm not here to
Yeah.
create a gender debate, but yeah. So anyway, I just love that it was really an all-star female cast behind the scenes as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing that I wished was not as drawn out was, to me, if you have a premise, my best friend's an assassin, that's kind of a zany premise. I thought it was going to be more light. I wish there were some moments where they were fighting a lot. I understand why the fight was happening, but I
Hmm.
felt like, gosh, I wanted to see them more in their friendship instead of, I feel like for 8 episodes, they were just constantly torn apart. And I think that's just the nature of how the plot had to be for
Hmm.
certain things to happen. But I just wanted, I loved the book club scenes. I thought those were funny. And I
Yeah.
loved how Debbie, without Judith, was like, I don't like book club.
Yeah.
You know? Um,
I hate it.
so
I
yeah,
didn't read the
I hate
book. She
it.
was stealing Judith's book every time.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
for me overall, I think that's this whole show is a great lesson on how to write compelling female characters and a compelling female friendship. It just worked so well. And I think it also wasn't sort of an anti-male thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think sometimes for us women to show that we can have strong females and strong female friendships, that we somehow have to be anti-male. And this wasn't like that at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are my overalls about it. I don't know if you have any more things that you just loved about,
I liked
because
that.
the males were good too.
Yeah, definitely. I liked that they owned their mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't, I mean, they apologized for them, of course, but they own them too. And
hmm
I love that because a lot of times I think characters in general, we don't write that. We just show the
hmm
apology of it and maybe the regret, but not
Yeah.
so much owning it. So
Right.
I kind of love that. Um, the only thing I didn't love was there is a side character that they ended up killing off that kind of shocked
Yeah.
me, and I was a little
hmm
bummed by it for one of the main characters, Judith specifically, and that kind of bummed me out. But then I was like, "Yeah, kill your darlings." It made it more impactful. All of the things, it was
Yeah.
at that big end moment anyway. So
hmm
but overall, I just was like, well done you, and when
hmm
is season 2? Like that is
Yeah.
kind of,
Exactly.
and how would that even work? But
hmm
even if this was just it, I thought it was fabulous. The only other thing I thought was spent Octavia Spencer playing an American living in the UK with absolutely no accent or mannerisms toward the UK was a little odd,
hmm
especially for raising 2 adult children. I mean, from babies
Yeah.
to adulthood and
Yeah.
having no inability to actually
Right.
drive correctly and all the things. I mean, it made for a
Yeah.
quirky personality, but I was like, it's a little odd. That was
Yeah.
probably the only thing that stood out to me. But then again, American. So you could
Yeah.
kind of see that happening too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I saw that too. I would think that if you've lived there for half your life, you get used to it. And I think you excuse me, you would even start to pick up some of the dialect and accent a little bit,
Yeah. Or at least some of the slang. And
Mhm.
I don't know. That kind of irked me a little bit, but I was like, that's so minor compared to everything else.
Mhm.
And that kind of just tags back to, I know sometimes we get in our editing of, oh my God, I missed this or a typo. Again,
Mhm.
if the story's great, I'll
Yeah.
forgive you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind
Exactly.
of where I was. I was like, I don't care. It's just her
Yeah.
quirky thing, whatever. So yeah, overall it was lovely. I obviously was like, oh my God, everybody watch it. Calling
Yeah.
everybody,
Well,
telling them
it was
about it. It was great.
inspiring, and I think we both took notes on future
Yeah.
females we want to write. So yeah. So anyway, that's our quick tip. Those are just little bites. You can listen on your commute, on the way back from the airport, whatever. But anyway, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to leave us a review and rating wherever you listen to the podcast. It really helps us with visibility. And if you're interested in joining us in our romance corner, the author next door after dark, you can now find those special episodes right here in our regular podcast feed on the last Wednesday of every month. Until next time, keep writing, keep doing. We'll see ya.
We're so glad you joined us for this episode of The Author Next Door.
Writing is a long game, and it's one best played with community, curiosity, and a little grace for yourself along the way.
Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep telling stories only you can tell.
We'll see you next week, right here next door.